Here's a psychology fact you're not ready for. If you had to grow up too fast, your calm isn't strength, it's survival. Think about it for a second. You're the person who doesn't panic, doesn't complain, doesn't fall apart in front of others. People admire you for that. They say things like, "You're so mature," or "You handle things so well." But what if that calm didn't come from confidence? What if it came from necessity? Most people don't realize this, but your brain has been lying to you about maturity. You think you're just responsible, independent, strong. But psychologists call this forced early independence. And once you understand it, you'll see why you act the way you do, in relationships, at work, even when you're alone at night with your thoughts. If you're watching this and feeling a quiet pull in your chest, maybe it's you. Maybe you were the child who learned early that someone had to hold things together. As a kid, you didn't get to be careless for long. You noticed tension in the room before anyone explained it. You learned when to stay quiet, when to help, when not to ask for anything. You didn't decide to be mature, you adapted. Your relationships, your habits, even your confidence, all of it is influenced by this one psychological pattern. And here's where it gets even worse. Because when a child grows up too fast, their brain learns a dangerous rule. Needing people is risky. So let's break down how this shows up, quietly, in adulthood. There's a certain type of person who always seems fine. They don't ask for help, they don't lean, they don't expect much from anyone. As a child, they learned that problems had to be handled internally. Maybe adults were overwhelmed. Maybe emotions weren't welcome. Maybe instability made it safer to disappear. So they became low maintenance. Psychologically, this teaches the nervous system that visibility equals danger. As an adult, this person feels uncomfortable being cared for. Compliments feel awkward. Dependence feels unsafe. Here's the painful part. They don't believe they deserve support unless they're falling apart. And even then, they hesitate. And this next part explains why your life hasn't changed yet. Because when you grow up too fast, your brain confuses independence with safety. You tell yourself, "I've got this." But what you really mean is, "I can't rely on anyone." Most people stop here, and that's the biggest mistake, because there's another pattern hiding underneath. Some people who had to mature early became emotional caretakers. As kids, they were the listener, the peacemaker, the one who sensed moods before words. They learned emotional intelligence early, not for connection, but for survival. Psychology says when a child has to manage adult emotions, their own feelings get postponed, not processed, not expressed, just stored. As adults, these people attract emotional responsibility like gravity. Friends vent to them, partners lean on them, even strangers open up to them. But inside, they're tired. They struggle to identify their own needs. They feel guilty setting boundaries, and they confuse love with responsibility. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. People who grow up too fast don't struggle with love, they struggle with receiving it. Because receiving requires vulnerability, and vulnerability was never safe for them. If that hit you, good. It means you needed it. Let's talk about another version, the high-functioning achiever. This child learned that performance creates stability. Get good grades, be reliable, be impressive. Praise didn't come for existing, it came for doing. Psychologically, this wires self-worth to productivity. As adults, these people feel uneasy resting. Calm feels suspicious. Stillness feels wrong. Here's the harsh truth people don't want to hear. Your drive might not be ambition, it might be anxiety wearing a mask of discipline. Your brain chooses control over comfort because control once meant safety. But here's where it gets even worse. When life finally slows down, unresolved emotions surface, burnout hits, emptiness appears, and suddenly the strength that once protected you starts costing you. Then there's the surprising type no one talks about. Some people who grew up too fast swing the other way. They crave play, fun, lightness, novelty. As children, they miss their chance to be carefree, so adulthood becomes the place where they chase what was delayed. Psychology calls this delayed childhood expression. These adults may seem spontaneous, youthful, even reckless, but underneath is grief. Grief for the version of themselves that never got to be small. They oscillate between hyper-responsibility and rebellion because they never learned balance. They skipped straight from child to adult. And now for the deepest truth. If you had to grow up too fast, your nervous system learned one core belief: I'm on my own. That belief can make you capable, but it can also make you lonely. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. You don't need to be stronger. You've already been strong enough for a lifetime. What you need is safety, emotional safety, something you didn't have the luxury to feel early on. And here's the mental shift that actually works. If you want to break the cycle, start small. Ask for help when you don't desperately need it. Let someone do something for you and resist the urge to earn it. That's how your brain relearns safety, not through logic, through experience. So pause for a moment. Which pattern felt familiar? The invisible one, the caretaker, the achiever, the escapist? Or maybe pieces of all of them? If this landed for you, you're not broken. You adapted intelligently to a situation that demanded too much from you too early. And now, for the first time, you get to choose something different. Tell me in the comments, did you grow up too fast, or are you just now realizing you never slowed down? And if you want more psychology like this, quiet, honest, and a little uncomfortable, you know what to do.